All right, well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Madeline Parker, and I'm the operations manager for our office. And thank you for joining us today for our information buffet, which we're going to cover the verification process from start to finish. And just as our reminder, we are going to record this webinar and post it on our YouTube channel for viewing at a later time. And then the slides will also be posted on our website. So if you have any questions when they come up, no matter where I am in the presentation, if you just want to throw them in the Q&A box, we can get to them at the end if we have time. And if we don't have time, you can just follow up with an email just to make sure I can answer your questions. So for today, we're going to go over a general overview of verification and include any important deadlines and the initial steps, the application selection procedures, required procedures for notifications and follow-up, and allowable sources for verification. And then we'll end with verification for cause and questionable applications. So all SFAs are required to conduct verification of eligibility for free and reduced price meals based on applications. And verification is only required when eligibility is determined through an application, and it's not required for eligibility determinations made through the direct certification process. So in short, verification must confirm either income eligibility, receipt of an assistance program, or other source categorical eligibility. So verification efforts are not required for children who have been directly certified and children in residential child care institutions. And schools participating in special milk only and SFAs where all schools participate in CEP are not required to conduct verification. So the SFA must complete verification activities no later than November 15th of each school year. And the SFA may request an extension of the November 15th deadline in writing from our office. ONPS may approve an extension up to December 15th of the current school year. This can be due to a natural disaster, civil disorder, strike, or other circumstance that prevents the SFA from completing verification on time. And just to note, if the SFA was late in submitting verification the previous school year, our office may not approve the SFA for a waiver this school year. So in failure to meet the verification deadlines may delay the payment of claims for reimbursement. So please keep that in mind with the deadlines. So each SFA must annually verify the eligibility of children from a sample of household applications approved for free and reduced price benefits for that school year. And SFAs may begin verification once the application approval process for the current school year is underway and approved applications are on file. So to begin verification, SFAs may estimate the number of approved applications it anticipates will be on file on October 1st, and this must be based on the number of approved applications in the previous years. The final sample pool is the actual number of approved applications on file as of October 1. If October 1st falls on a weekend, the SFA will use the next operating day to establish the sample pool. So the sample pool uses the total number of approved applications on file as of October 1 of the current school year. It includes the number of approved applications, including paper and electronic applications. The sample pool is not based on the number of children eligible for free and reduced price meal benefits, as some eligible students are eligible through the direct certification process with no application on file. The sample pool does not include applications where all children in the household are determined eligible based on documentation provided by the state or local agency responsible for the administration of SNAP, FDPIR, or TANF, or applications where all children in the household are determined to be foster, homeless, migrant, or runaway. Applications for mixed households, which include children who are eligible based on income and other children who are eligible based on other source categorical eligibility, are subject to verification and are included in the sample pool. Applications with case numbers for for participating children who were not determined eligible through direct certification are also subject to verification. Once the sample pool is determined, the SFA calculates the sample size, which is the number of applications that must be verified. When calculating the sample size, all fractions or decimals are rounded upward to the nearest whole number. So for example, if 3.1 applications were calculated, it must be rounded up to 4. And at least one application must always be verified. With the exception of verification for cause, which I will explain in greater detail shortly, SFAs cannot verify more or less than the standard sample size or the alternate sample size. SFAs cannot verify all of the applications either. And verification conducted for cause is completed in addition to the required verification sample size. There are 3 sample sizes for verification activities: standard, alternate 1, and alternate 2. The standard sample size must be used by an SFA unless the SFA qualifies to use an alternate sample size. The standard sample size is the lesser of 3% of all applications approved by the SFA for the school year as of October 1st of the school year that are selected from the error-prone applications, or 3,000 error-prone applications approved by the SFA for the school year as of October 1st. And as a reminder, error-prone applications are above or below free income guidelines and below reduced income guidelines by $100 monthly or $1,200 annually. So when and why would an SFA use an alternate sample size? There are 2 ways to qualify, one being a lowered non-response rate and one being an improved non-response rate. So any SFA may use an alternate sample size for any school year when its non-response rate for the preceding school year was less than 20%. So for example, for school year 24-25, an SFA could use an alternate sample size if in 23-24, the SFA's non-response rate was 18%. An SFA with more than 20,000 children approved by application as eligible as of October 1 of that school year may use an alternate sample size for any school year when its non-response rate for the preceding school year was at least 10% below the non-response rate for the second preceding school year. So the SFA must annually determine if it's eligible to use one of these alternate sample sizes. And if the SFA determines it is eligible, they would need to contact our office for approval prior to using alternate sample size. And if you have any questions about this, you can contact our office because I know it can sound a little bit confusing. So here again are the alternate sample sizes that are available to SFAs, alternate 1 and 2. And I'm not going to read these, but the information will be available when these slides are sent out. And the description is also in the eligibility manual. So there are 2 procedures that the SFA must complete prior to contacting households to obtain documentation of eligibility. And this includes required confirmation reviews and optional replacement of certain applications. So prior to any other verification activity, a determining official must review each approved application selected for verification to ensure the initial determination was accurate. An SFA that conducts a confirmation review of all applications at the time of approval is not required to conduct confirmation reviews prior to verification. It is important to remember that the confirmation review must be done by an individual other than the individual who made the initial determination. Once any required confirmation reviews are completed, the SFA will proceed with verification depending on if the initial determination was correct or indirect. For example, if the status changed from free to reduced or paid after the confirmation review, the SFA will immediately send the household a notice of adverse action and does not verify the application. The SFA will need to select a similar application for verification and will follow the same confirmation review procedures for this application. After completing the confirmation reviews, the SFA may, on a case-by-case basis, replace up to 5% of applications selected. Applications may be replaced when the SFA believes the household would be unable to fully respond to the verification request. Any application removed must be replaced with another application selected on the same basis. So for example, an error-prone application must be substituted for a withdrawn error-prone application. When an application is selected for verification and before hearing back from the household, the children are found on the direct certification list, the application does not have to be replaced in the verification sample pool. The application would be marked as direct certification in the FNS 742 report and noted in the remarks as well. And our office can provide further guidance on this and how it would be entered in the report if it does come up in your SFA. When a household is selected for verification, the SFA must inform the household in writing of its selection and must provide a list of documents or other forms of evidence the household must submit to the SFA. Any communications with households about verification must be easily understandable and to the maximum extent possible in a language that parents and guardians can understand. The household notification letter must indicate that the household was selected for verification, must include the modified use of information statement, the full USDA non-discrimination statement, and type of acceptable information that can be provided to confirm income. The letter will also need to indicate that the household may provide proof that any household member is receiving benefits under an assistance program or that the child is other source categorically eligible instead of providing income. Other points that must be in the letter are a warning that termination of benefits will occur if documentation is not provided by the due date determined by the SFA. Information about providing documentation of income or receipt of an assistance program, the name and contact information of the determining official who can answer questions, and a telephone number that the household can call at no cost for any help they need. And as a reminder, our office does have templates for the notification of selection, and your SFA's POS system should also be able to generate letters relating to verification. And just as a tip, if you are using your POS's generated letter, just make sure that you're checking that all the information is accurate before you send it out and that it's all up to date. So allowable sources for verification. When a household is selected for verification, it must provide sources of information to the SFA to confirm current income or participation in an assistance program. Sources of information may include written evidence, collateral contacts, and system of records. Written evidence includes pay stubs from employers or official award letters from assistance agencies or other government agencies. And EBT cards may not be accepted to confirm SNAP eligibility. Collateral contacts include employers, social service agencies, migrant workers agencies, and religious or civic organizations. The verifying official should request a collateral contact only in cases when the household has not been able to provide adequate written evidence. All information provided by collateral contacts, either written or oral, must be documented, dated, and initialed. A household's eligibility may be confirmed through the use of information maintained by other government agencies as well. So when a household provides pay stubs, if a weekly pay stub is representative of what the household normally receives each week, one pay stub is sufficient. If the household submits a pay stub including overtime, the SFA should work with the household to determine whether the overtime for that month being verified represents overtime received in other months. If overtime is a one-time or sporadic source of income, income should be calculated based on the regular monthly income without overtime. Also, if a household is selected for verification and the application indicates zero income, the SFA must request an explanation of how living expenses are met and may request additional written documentation or collateral contacts. The SFA must make at least one attempt to contact the household when the household does not adequately respond to the request for verification. Non-response includes no response and incomplete responses that do not allow the SFA to confirm the children's eligibility for free and reduced price meals. The required follow-up attempt may be in writing or by telephone or text message. The SFA must document contact was attempted. Additionally, the SFA must ensure limited English proficient households are provided adequate language assistance and understand the need to respond to the verification request. SFAs are encouraged but not required to conduct additional follow-up if the household fails to provide adequate documentation after the first required follow-up. If the household does not respond or fails to provide adequate documentation after the required follow-up, verification is considered complete for the household when the notice of adverse action is sent. If a household refuses to cooperate with efforts to verify, this will result in the termination of household benefits. Households refusing to complete the verification process are counted towards meeting the SFA's required sample of verified applications. Households must be notified of any reduction in benefits and must be informed of their right to reapply for benefits at any time. If benefits are decreased, a notice of adverse action must be sent. SFAs must provide 10 days advance notice to households that are receiving a reduction or termination of benefits prior to the reduction or termination taking effect. So here are some examples of when verification is complete. If the household submits either adequate written evidence or collateral contact, verification is considered complete for the household. If the household indicates, verbally or in writing, that it no longer wishes to receive free or reduced price benefits, verification is considered complete when the notice of adverse action is sent. If the application provided case numbers, but it was determined that no household member is receiving benefits from an assistance program, verification is considered complete when the notice of adverse action is sent. So apart from regular required verification of a number of approved applications, regulations require SFAs to verify any questionable applications. And this is known as verification for cause. So verification for cause cannot delay the approval of applications, and SFAs can begin the verification process only after the determination of eligibility has been made. Any verification for cause conducted by an SFA is separate from the verification sample that's required by program regulations. The same procedure is followed with verification for cause. And just as a reminder, verification for cause may be conducted at any time during the school year. So once the SFA has completed the verification process, the verification official must complete the FNS 742 report in My NHDOE. So here's an example of what the report may look like when you pull it from your POS system. And the SFA will need to take the results of this report and manually enter them into the My NHDOE system. So failure to complete this report in My NHDOE on time for school year 24-25 may result in the delayed payments of claims for reimbursement. And this report is due in My NHDOE on or before December 31st, 2024. And if you are not sure who the verification official is at your SFA, you must contact myself as soon as possible just so we can get this sorted out. The verification official can access the FNS 742 report through the fully approved NSLP application for school year 24-25. And as a reminder, when completing this report in My NHDOE, do not forget to save each section separately or you'll lose your work. And I just want to remind everybody about record retention. So all free and reduced price application, direct certification, and verification documents must be kept on file for a minimum of 3 plus the current years. And documentation must be kept longer if required by an audit. So just keep that in mind as well. And that's all I have today. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A and I'll hang out here for a few more minutes to see if any questions come up.